A government review has recommended changes to the way teachers manage their classrooms and teach basic maths and English skills. Joining us live now, Real School CEO and former principal Adam Voigt. Adam, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So it's actually quite timely, this, given the incident that we saw in Maitland a couple of days ago where a teacher and a student were involved in a fracas. It's all before the police now, but we saw the vision there and it's quite confronting. So part of this review asks teachers or demands teachers better manage their students. How precisely do they do that?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but it is a much needed shift. Well, I know that even my experience going way back to university, we did a subject called the history of education, where the mark of the subject was the 1872 Education Act. Didn't exactly help me when I landed in the classroom. So yeah. I'm really encouraged that there's a really strong focus in this review on classroom management. It's what teachers coming out of university are telling us. They learn more in their first term of teaching than they did in their 4 years at university. They want to know how they can actually manage the diversity in the classroom, how they can handle the neurodivergent kids that come along, the kids that come along with behaviour and trauma challenges. They want to know how they can create a classroom where all of those kids can thrive. That should be teaching 101.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased that this review and that the universities are going to be asked to do that.
When you've got this incident again, back to the Hunter Valley, the Maitland area from a couple of days ago, I mean, we saw the vision there, and in the new reporting this morning, he says he went to the principal's office afterwards and said he lost his cool. I mean, you can see whatever happened there, he's got completely wound up by the unruly kids. I'm not sure who's responsible. We'll find that out or not. But we'll find that out in due course. But how do you when teachers or substitute teachers or whatever are completely wound up by unruly kids, I mean, how do you learn to control yourself in that manner? How can you be taught?
Yeah, it's a really, in odd ways, it seems really simple, Peter. We actually, in our training with schools, we teach people about stored responses. So it's about what are the little things that you can actually know are the things that get you emotional, that get you off track, because as educators, you expect that can happen. And so what are the things we're going to go to in our head and roll out that we have been trained in, that we have learned to say? For instance, I've got one that I just, when a student calls out in class, that for some reason that bugs me, gets me annoyed. And so I will just say, unfortunately, I don't listen when people call out, but I can listen to you. And it's a really small thing, but it's something that I just go to because when I'm emotional, I come up with poor strategy. And that's what I think's happened to this teacher. So I think that we've got to be able to hold two concepts as the people watching this, is we've got to be able to say we can understand that teachers are under strain and that it can get to people in this way. We've also got to be able to say it's not okay. It's not okay that our strategy we go to is grabbing a kid or allowing a classroom to descend into physical aggression. So we can work in the middle in there and we can come up with strategy that can help teachers. We have to invest in them and treat it as an act of support rather than as an act of compliance or accountability for them.
What about making the education degrees more rigorous? You need an ATAR of 80. This is off the back of current low standards. Do you think that's a good start?
I'd love that idea, and as a concept, as an aspiration, it's not a bad one at all. But what do we do when we've got holes in our teacher workforce bucket that are leaking and hemorrhaging, if you want to put it that way, such that the workforce is demanding more and more people? The universities need to churn out teachers to be able to, put qualified people in our classrooms. So somewhere along the line, we've got to be able to say we want high standards, but how are we actually going to achieve that? By supporting the people in the workforce to not leave.
And that's a good point.
That's the way that we can get the ATARs for entry high.
Yeah, so by making it harder, is that the right way to go? But when you've already got teacher shortages, is making it harder in universities going to help that?
I don't think alone it will. So there are multiple levers that we need to pull to be able to support our teachers and to improve the teacher workforce crisis that we've got on our hands. One of them, sure, is what we want to do is have high quality people coming into teaching. But if we don't stop the fact that we've got in some areas, 30 to 50% of graduates leaving the teaching profession in the first 3 to 5 years of their teaching, if we don't deal with the fact that we've got half of our principals at the moment within about 3 to 5 years of retirement age and not a workforce of people behind them looking to fill those roles, if we don't address all of those issues simultaneously, then the 88 for entry is going to be a little bit of a pipe dream, and our kids, our future in education deserve better than that.
Oh, I mean, you got to raise the money, don't you? You got to pay more money.
Yeah, it comes down to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you want them to do this really important job, if we want to treat it like a profession, as it is, then what we've got to do is start respecting them, not only in our conduct, but in their pay packets as well.
What about for the kids too? I mean, I know this is starting to gain momentum, but banning mobile phones in schools, there are some schools that are looking to do that now. I mean, surely that's got to be more widespread, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the evidence at the moment is that the schools that are embracing the bans and doing it in a really respectful way, there are pouches that the kids can use. They can know that their phone's secure. There are exemptions where there are kids who might have a parent who's unwell or they're waiting for some news about family. There are always ways to get around those. And the schools that are going down that path of banning at the moment, most of the data that they're reporting about the kids' engagement and progress, and most of the anecdotal experience around their behaviour and their conduct at school has been positive. I've always been a believer you're either you can't be half in or out when it comes to mobiles.
No,
you're
that's
either
right.
got the table and you're using them, or you are putting them away and learning in a different way. The experience so far over the last couple of years in Australia is that putting them away, particularly in high schools, is looking like the way to go.
Yeah, and I think you'd get a lot of support out there. Majority support, I would have thought. Good to see you, Adam. Appreciate your time this morning. We'll talk to you again soon.